Have you ever felt it, that strange pull toward the unknown? That tiny voice in the back of your mind that whispers, "What if it's real?" It's the same voice that made a group of students chant words they didn't understand. It's the same curiosity that drove a vlogger to summon something that spoke in her own voice. And it's the same hunger for proof that pushed a mother to bring back what she should have let go. Every ritual begins with curiosity. But curiosity can be fatal. They say rituals are just stories, old myths buried under centuries of superstition. Yet every culture, every generation, has its version. The mirror that shows more than your reflection. The chant that must never be spoken alone. The ceremony that feeds on your fear. And the doll that remembers everything you whisper. Coincidence? Or are these fragments of something far older than belief, something waiting for us to call its name? Some people think evil announces itself with thunder. But it doesn't. It creeps in quietly, through a single mistake, a whisper, a dare. It starts as a game. A challenge. A thrill shared between friends in the dark. And before they realize what's happening, the darkness starts playing back. In the year 1997, 4 college students recorded a ritual for fun. Only 3 of them were ever found. In 2019, a live stream ended mid-scream. The voice continued for hours after the host vanished. In 1983, a desert ceremony left behind blood, but no bodies. And somewhere in Japan, a doll still rocks gently in an empty child's room. All different stories. All the same mistakes. They wanted to see what would happen, and something answered. There's one thing every survivor said before disappearing completely. We thought it was just a game. But games end. Rituals don't. Because when you speak the words, when you light the candles, when you step across that invisible line, you're not just pretending. You're inviting. And the thing about invitations is, someone always accepts. You'll hear their stories tonight. You'll see how curiosity becomes terror. How a whisper becomes a scream. How a game becomes a grave. But before we begin, remember this: every sound you hear, every shadow you see, may not just be part of the story. Sometimes, when people listen too long, something listens back. So turn down the lights. Lock the door. And whatever you do, don't repeat anything you hear. Because these are the true stories of scary rituals gone wrong. Like, subscribe and turn on bell notifications. They thought it would be just another night. 4 friends, restless, curious, and armed with a second-hand camcorder, stepped into the old basement of Ravenwood University's abandoned dormitory. It was the fall of 1997. The internet was young, filled with strange forums and forgotten corners. Places where the curious traded whispers about the supernatural. That's where Ethan found it, a post buried deep within a paranormal message board. A ritual called the Mirror of the Hollow. It claimed to show the reflection of your true self, if you dared to perform it exactly at midnight. There was only one warning, written in flickering text at the bottom of the page. Never do this while being recorded. But that's exactly what they were there to do. Ethan was the leader, the kind who always wanted proof, not stories. Mara, his girlfriend, was the believer. She read tarot cards, collected amulets, and claimed she could feel energies. Liam, the skeptic, called it all nonsense but joined anyway, because, in his words, someone has to keep you idiots from summoning Satan. And Dylan, the prankster, the one with the camera, just wanted to scare his friends and get the best reaction shot. The basement smelled of dust and mold, with faint graffiti scratched into the walls. A single bulb dangled from a wire, flickering weakly. They set up the mirror, an antique they'd stolen from the drama department, and surrounded it with 6 black candles. The instructions were simple. Write your name on a slip of paper. Burn it under the mirror. And repeat the phrase 3 times. Show me the hollow within. They laughed at how ridiculous it sounded. Mara lit the first candle. The flame bent unnaturally, as if the air itself exhaled. Ethan began the chant. Liam rolled his eyes, muttering under his breath. Dylan zoomed the camera in closer, whispering, "This is gold, man." The first round of chanting echoed quietly. By the second, the light bulb above them dimmed. By the third, the air turned cold enough for their breath to show. The laughter stopped. The silence stretched. Something, unseen, had joined them. The camera caught it first. A flicker, like static, rippling across the reflection. Ethan leaned forward, frowning. "Did you see that?" Liam scoffed. "It's just dust. Let's wrap it up." But when he turned away from the mirror, his reflection didn't. The mirror Liam kept looking at, smiled back. Not a quick twitch. Not a trick of the light. It smiled, slow, deliberate, like it knew something he didn't. Mara gasped. "Liam, don't move." He spun around, his reflection was still facing forward. Then the candles flickered blue. Every single flame. And a whisper rolled through the room, soft, but layered, as if many voices spoke in unison. "You called us." The recording crackled, capturing the words clearly. Dylan lowered the camera. "Who said that?" No one answered. The air buzzed with static, the faint hum of something unnatural vibrating inside the walls. Suddenly, one of the candles blew out. Then another. Then all six, snuffed out at once. In the darkness, they could still see the faint glow of the mirror, pulsing like a heartbeat. Ethan's voice trembled, "Okay, this isn't funny anymore." But Dylan's voice broke through, panicked now. "Dude, look." Inside the mirror, their reflections were still standing there, frozen in place, staring straight ahead. Only this time, there were 5 of them. The fifth reflection, the one that didn't belong, moved first. It stepped forward. But none of them had moved in the real world. Liam stumbled backward, knocking over the tripod. The camera hit the floor, the footage turns grainy, tilted sideways. You can hear them screaming, their voices overlapping. Someone shouts, "Get the light." Someone else cries, "It's in the mirror." The mirror surface ripples, like water. A hand presses out from within, pale and twitching. Then another. Ethan rushes forward to grab Mara, pulling her back, but she's staring into the mirror, transfixed. Her reflection is smiling. The sound distorts, high-pitched static, then silence. The camera catches one final moment, Ethan's reflection steps out of the glass. His eyes, hollow, black. He reaches for the real Ethan. The mirror shatters inward. A thunderous crack echoes through the basement. The recording cuts. When campus security found the basement, they discovered only shards of glass. 4 melted candles. And the camcorder, still recording. There was no mirror. No sign of struggle. Only faint fingerprints along the concrete wall, fingerprints that didn't match any of the students. 3 bodies were eventually found in different parts of the dorm, each one missing their reflection in mirrors, windows, even photographs. The 4th, Ethan, was never found. But in 2003, when a new group of students explored that same basement, they reported hearing a voice from the dark. It whispered, "Show me the hollow within." They thought they were chasing proof. What they found, was the proof chasing them. This was the first of many. The first warning was ignored. The first ritual gone wrong. And the night was only beginning. They called it, the Chant of 13. A harmless online myth, or so people thought. A ritual passed around dark corners of paranormal forums, reposted on Reddit threads, whispered about in Discord servers under usernames no one ever saw twice. The promise was simple, and seductive. If you performed the chant correctly, your future self would appear before you, to answer one question. No tricks. No blood. No sacrifice. Just words. But buried deep in the instructions, written in tiny, almost invisible gray text, was a final warning. If you hear yourself answering before you finish the chant, stop immediately. Enter Marissa Gray. 26 years old. Aspiring influencer. Her channel, Gray Matters, had just hit 100,000 followers. She'd built her audience on urban legends, unsolved mysteries, and dark internet challenges. But fame has a way of dulling fear. When views began to drop, Marissa looked for something new, something real. She found it on a midnight thread titled Rituals That Actually Work. A user named Echo13 posted the full version of the chant. The post began. Try it live, if you dare. But don't forget, the 13th echo always answers back. And so, on October 12, 2019, at exactly 11:57 p.m., Marissa pressed Go Live. Her chat filled instantly, over 5,000 viewers. She grinned at the camera, a soft glow from her ring light outlining her face. "Okay, guys," she said, giggling nervously, "we're trying something new tonight. Don't freak out, it's just a chant. No Ouija boards, no ghosts. Promise." She held up a printed sheet of instructions. 13 lines. Each one is stranger than the last. At the bottom, written in faint gray font. "The voice you hear may not be your own." She laughed it off. The chat flooded with emojis and dares, "Do it. This is gonna be fake. We love you, Marissa." Then the clock struck midnight. And she began. 13 steps beyond the door, I call the one who's come before. Her viewers spammed laughing emojis. She smirked, continuing. By the third line, something changed. The audio crackled, a faint distortion under her voice. Comments appeared in rapid succession. "Your mix glitching. Is that another voice? There's someone behind you." She turned, half smiling. "Yeah, okay, nice try, chat. You're not scaring me." But her reflection, faintly visible in the monitor behind her, didn't move when she did. She read the 6th line. Her tone faltered. The lights dimmed for half a second, then stabilized. Her smile stiffened. "Okay, weird timing," she muttered, forcing a laugh. "Power surge, I guess." Then she said the 7th line, and her voice duplicated. Not an echo. Not feedback. Two voices, perfectly synchronized, one slightly deeper, slower. What was that? Two voices. Your lips didn't match your sound. Marissa froze. Her face was drained of color. She turned back toward the screen. Her reflection in the monitor was still chanting. 13 steps beyond the door. But she hadn't spoken. Her hands shook as she reached to stop the stream, but her mouse cursor began moving on its own, scrolling the chat, pausing, replaying the stream delay. "Don't stop. We're hearing her twice. Look at your screen." Marissa turned slowly, her own face staring back at her from the dark reflection of the window, lips still moving, eyes unblinking. And then, the second voice spoke alone. "You called too soon." The stream glitched. The frame froze mid-scream, Marissa's mouth open, eyes wide, her webcam light flickering violently. Then silence. No movement. The live chat kept scrolling, confusion turning to panic. Is this a prank? She's not moving. Is she okay? After 6 minutes of stillness, the feed ended. Automatically. The next morning, police arrived at Marissa's apartment after multiple viewers filed emergency reports. They found the door locked from the inside. No signs of struggle. Her camera still pointed at her desk, her ring light glowing faintly. And her phone, still live streaming. But there was no one there. The final broadcast was recovered from her cloud storage. Investigators say it ran for nearly 4 hours after she vanished. But what's disturbing isn't what they saw, it's what they heard. For the first hour, silence. Then, at 1:13 a.m., a voice whispered faintly through the static. "Ask your question." The voice was hers. But it wasn't live audio. It was responding to comments that were still coming in. "Marissa, are you okay? Say something. We can hear you." Each time someone typed her name, the voice whispered it back. "I hear you. I see you. Don't look behind you." When the footage was finally pulled offline, experts confirmed something terrifying. The voice in the recording was perfectly synchronized with her own vocal pattern, but pitched one frequency lower. In the digital waveform, the two voices overlapped, one leading by a fraction of a second, as if the echo was answering first. No one ever found Marissa Gray, but her channel is still active. Every month, a new live stream appears for exactly 13 seconds. No thumbnail. No title. Just a whisper. Ask your question. They say the internet never forgets. But maybe some things online remember too well. If you ever find yourself scrolling late at night and a stream autoplays, no title, no comments, and you think you hear your own name whispered through the static, don't respond. Don't type. And whatever you do, don't ask your question. Because you might not like who answers. That was the second story. The second mistake. And still, the night isn't over. Next, we go to the desert, where a ritual meant to summon rebirth, called something far worse. Like, subscribe and turn on bell notifications. 1983, the Nevada desert. Temperatures hit 107 degrees by noon. Miles from civilization, no roads, no towns, no help. And somewhere out there, in a place they called Eclipse Valley, a group of 23 people gathered for what they believed would be their rebirth. They called themselves the Children of the Eclipse. To outsiders, they were just another doomsday sect, one of many that bloomed in the late 70s. But to their followers, they weren't chasing death. They were chasing transcendence. Their leader, Jonas Red, was a former theology student turned desert preacher. He believed humanity was living in the shadow cycle, a spiritual loop that only the brave could escape. He claimed the eclipse was the key, a moment when the light dies long enough for truth to step through. And to pass through, he said, they must shed the human vessel and walk in shadow. Interviewer, archival, so they thought dying was rebirth? Follower, voice trembling, no. Not dying. Changing. Jonas said the desert would peel away our false selves. He said, the sand remembers the blood of the first dawn. The group disappeared on June 21, 1983, the night of a lunar eclipse. No bodies were ever found. Only fragments of a campsite. And one audio tape, labeled Ceremony, Part 1. They gathered at sunrise. Witnesses, hikers from nearly 5 miles away, later reported seeing strange symbols carved into the sand. And what looked like dozens of effigies standing upright around a bonfire. The effigies were human-like. Made of reeds, ash, and bones. Each painted with black spirals that seemed to twist inward. Jonas stood at the center, wearing a white robe, dusted with sand. He raised his hands to the sky as the light dimmed from the approaching eclipse. They believed the ceremony would erase the shadow within. But before dawn, something else began to move. A former cult member, one of the few who escaped, described it years later in a 1992 interview. We started hearing whispers, but no one was talking. The effigies, they began to breathe. And the shadows, they didn't match us anymore. By 6:30 a.m., the ritual site went silent. When a local deputy followed the trail a day later, he found the effigies half buried. The sand around them soaked dark red. But there were no bodies. No footprints. Only one disturbing detail: every effigy had a small cavity carved in its chest. And inside each one, a human tooth. DNA testing later confirmed the teeth belonged to the missing followers. All 23. The light bends, we follow the dark. Eclipse of the flesh, open the shadow door. At first, it sounds like a group chant, measured, controlled. But halfway through, something shifts. The rhythm fractures. Voices overlap, some screaming, others whispering. Then a deeper tone enters, too low, too guttural to be human. When we analyzed the frequency, we found a subharmonic layer that shouldn't exist in normal audio. It registered as 19 Hz, the same frequency that can make people feel fear, hallucinate, or even see shadows. It wasn't us chanting anymore. Then silence. Static. A faint heartbeat. When the tape ends, you can hear a single breath, faint but clear. Then, a whisper. The ceremony isn't over. In the following weeks, investigators found more signs near the site, symbols carved into rock. Fresh fires. Footprints appearing after the crime scene was sealed. Locals began reporting strange lights in the desert. Phones ringing in the middle of the night, the caller ID reading, eclipse. And then, in 2003, 20 years later, a new video appeared online. A group of young explorers filming near Eclipse Valley. In the background, you can hear chanting. Same words. Same rhythm. The group uploaded it, laughing, joking. But within a week, 2 of them vanished. Their last GPS ping. The exact coordinates of the original ceremony. Every cult we've ever studied ends in tragedy. A suicide. A raid. A last desperate prayer to a silent God. But this one, never really ended. Even now, investigators refuse to mark the Eclipse Valley case as closed. Because every few years, when the lunar shadow passes over Nevada, a new campfire burns in the same shape. And the desert wind carries the same words. The light bends, we follow the dark. Some rituals die with their believers. Others, keep believing long after we've gone. Grief is a language of its own. It makes people reach for things that should never be touched. For some, it's prayer. For others, it's a ritual. In 2011, in Kyoto, Japan, a mother named Hana Mori lost her 7-year-old daughter, Aiko, in a car accident. Every night after, she sat in the same chair by her daughter's empty bed. Clutching her favorite doll, a porcelain-faced toy with soft pink ribbons and glass eyes that caught the light. The doll was called Emmy. It had belonged to Aiko since her first birthday. Neighbors said Hannah stopped answering calls. Her husband had left months earlier. Her world shrank down to the walls of that room. And the voice she wished would answer her when she whispered, "Good night." One day, while scrolling through an old online grief forum, Hannah found something unusual. A thread titled, "The Hitori Kakurenbo Connection." It wasn't about therapy. It was about a ritual. A way, the post claimed, to invite a spirit to inhabit a doll. Just long enough for one more conversation. The instructions were simple. Too simple. And at the bottom, written in red text, were the words. Do not perform this alone. Do not play if you are not ready to say goodbye twice. Hannah didn't care. She printed the post, gathered the ingredients, and set her camera to record. That footage, what little remained of it, became known online as the doll tape. Hannah followed the steps exactly as written. Step 1. Fill the doll with rice, to give it a soul. Step 2. Sew it shut with red thread, to bind it. Step 3. Place it in a bathtub filled with salt water, to purify it. Step 4. Say your own name 3 times. And say the doll's name once. In the video, you can hear her whisper. I'm Hannah Mori. I'm Hannah Mori. I'm Hannah Mori. Emmy. Then silence. Only the soft hum of the refrigerator in the background. She places the kitchen knife beside the tub, as instructed, and says the final phrase. You're it now. That's when she leaves the room for 10 minutes. As the ritual demands. The footage continues. From the hallway, Hannah's breathing is audible, shallow, trembling. Then, faintly, a sound like fingernails on porcelain. 3 scratches. Then 1. And then a whisper. Mommy. It's soft, almost inaudible. But the voice doesn't belong to Hannah. She freezes. You can hear her footsteps hesitate just outside the door. The camera, still rolling, catches the doorknob slowly turning. When she re-enters, the doll is sitting upright in the tub. Its head tilted slightly toward her. And the knife is gone. The footage ends abruptly, static overtakes the final frame. Forensic experts later confirmed it wasn't tampered with. The timestamp matches the night she disappeared. When police arrived 3 days later, they found the front door locked from the inside. The bathwater was drained. The rice bowl was empty. And the doll was sitting in the middle of the child's bedroom, facing the window. Its tiny porcelain hands were covered in faint fingerprints. But here's the impossible part. Those prints matched Hannah's DNA. Except they were too small. Too childlike. As if her hands had changed. Neighbors later reported hearing music at night. A lullaby, played over and over again. Coming from the empty house. Sometimes they swore they saw the silhouette of a woman in the window, cradling something. Other times, the shadow looked smaller. When the property was finally sold years later, the new owners found an old cassette player buried beneath the floorboards. The tape inside was labeled, "For Mommy." In the recording, you can hear 2 voices. A woman humming, and a little girl humming with her. Halfway through, one of them stops. Then, the other whispers, "We can play again tomorrow." Then, silence. The house still stands. Its windows boarded. Its walls untouched. But every so often, someone walking past claims they hear that lullaby. Soft, broken, and echoing through the rain. Mommy. I'm still here. Each ritual began the same way. Not with evil. Not with darkness. But with curiosity. A simple question whispered into the unknown. What if? And for every answer they found, the world lost another layer of safety. Another person swallowed by their own need to know. They said knowledge is power. But in the world of rituals, knowledge is permission. From Ravenwood's mirror, to the forbidden chant that echoed beyond the stream. From the desert ceremony that still stains the sand, to the mother who only wanted to hear her child's voice again. Each of them reached out. And something reached back. The truth is, none of these stories truly ended. The recordings still exist. The symbols still surface. And the whispers still answer those who listen. Because what if? Just what if? The thing you summon doesn't want to leave. We're still here. Some doors never close. So before you light that candle, before you whisper that name, remember, rituals aren't games. They're invitations. And not every guest leaves when the night is over. Do not attempt any of these rituals. Viewer discretion advised. If you made it this far, you're one of the brave. Comment below. I survived. Tell us, which story haunted you the most? And remember, every day at midnight, another door opens. Another tale waits in the dark. So, subscribe for more midnight tales. If you dare. They watched the rituals. But now, the rituals are watching them.